2019 Mountain Dew GSL Season 2 Codex Renaissance.
Welcome back. It's time to start the Fantasy versus Stats match, one I just did not expect to have here. Fantasy beat Rogue 2-0 with style. Stats, I think, executed an excellent best of three, and kind of ambiguity opening here.
Yeah.
That managed to beat Leenock 2-1. I'm curious what Fantasy's games are going to look like here against Stats. We have a very good feel of how, in general, Stats plays, but Fantasy, he's still fresh to me, Artosis.
Yeah, well, I think he's still finding his footing and refining what he's doing. He doesn't have as long a history within this game. So, yeah, I'm not sure at all what to expect here. We've had such a variety of TVP play lately. Everything from very aggressive plays to mech plays, and as far as mech plays, there's multiple different styles that you can use. I just don't know what to expect, except a quick hallucination scout from Stats.
We don't know what to expect. Game one is ready. Let's go. Fantasy versus Stats starts now.
Player 1, Fantasy.
Brood War God, back to StarCraft 2.
Splice, Stats.
Stats, of course, an old StarCraft 1 player as well, not as storied or anything. Now, Cyberforce is our first map. I just want to get your gut feeling. Are we going to see mech from Fantasy or not?
I don't know, actually. It's a hard one. Look, if he does do it, that's really cool, right? I'm really excited. Some Fantasy support here in the audience. I just don't know for sure. But, I mean, I welcome it. One of the things about Fantasy guys from StarCraft 1 was that he really changed the way that people understood the race Terran. He was doing a lot of these very, very technical openings that were kind of bending the rules, making us realize that Terran was able to get away with more things than people really thought of. And so it's one of the reasons why when you see him doing a novel build in StarCraft 2, you got to think, oh, wow, this might actually just change the whole matchup. If he's able to deliver, again, I mean, they are different games, but if he's able to deliver that kind of play style, that's very, very exciting.
To give some background, because we keep alluding to how good he was in Brood War and all that, so before the game gets too crazy going. Wow, what is that? That's kind of interesting. Anyways, Fantasy was on SK Telecom, SKT1.
Right.
In StarCraft 1. And so that was a team that was basically created by Slayer's Boxer, the original Bonjour, the Emperor of Terran.
Right.
And then kind of as Boxer was fading out, I Love Uv was coming up, who was the third Bonjour of Terran after Nada. And he was just unbelievably good. In my opinion, the most genius player there's ever been in StarCraft. I don't know how many people would agree with me on that, but definitely he was unfathomably good. And he kind of took Fantasy under his wing. Fantasy, that's why they call him, that sign said the prince, the crown prince, right? Because it's like there's this dynasty of Terrans in SKT1. It goes, from Boxer to I Love Uv to Fantasy, and all of them champions. And yeah, so that it's, he's got this crazy lineage behind him, and he definitely came up with a lot of great things and had his own style. But, a lot of that was also the other brilliant players and coaches in this team as well.
Yeah, that team house was like this factory producing excellent players. And this is kind of a thing that happens, especially when you have people training in the same environments. Occasionally you end up with a group of people that really figure out how to master a certain aspect of the game, and definitely with the SKT team that was happening with Terran, where they were just really innovating and changing the way we understand how it can function.
Generally, every team would have a race that they were good at. Oh my God, Liberator Range Rush, this is amazing.
He's doing another weird build.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, they were known specifically for Terran, so very, very cool stuff with FanTaSy specifically. Now, Liberator Range Rush. Liberator Range was rushed to for some time. Like, a lot of people have tried a lot of different ways to do it. You got to be careful, because if you do this wrong, you're in trouble, because you're not going to have that many units. You're putting so many resources into getting out. The upgrade itself takes a while as well.
Yeah, so again, FanTaSy refusing to play a standard game. And by the way, it's not like he has some kind of altered style he's going to use each time around. So far, everything is just a different build.
Yeah.
He's coming out with innovative strategy after innovative strategy. Now, I think Stats is you know, he's pretty savvy about other players' play styles. You can't be one of the best defensive players and not have a good idea of how your opponent likes to play. But I actually doubt in this case he's expecting this from FanTaSy.
No, yeah. I think
this
you're
is
right.
This is a very out there opening.
Uh-huh.
And so, and this is also one of those things like where once it pops up, the question is, okay, like, can you actually handle this in time?
When it pops up, the mining of stats goes down a huge amount. A huge amount.
Yeah.
Because he does not have a Stargate. So if you place this just right, you're going to deny multiple patches and not... It's not going to stop.
No, hold on. Stats is trying to do an attack of his own here. He's up in the main, and you know there's actually not very much to defend, but I think Stats is playing so conservatively as he attacks in.
Patience would have killed that tank, and you'd have a bunch of stalkers in yellow and red, and all the Marines would be dead, and the SCVs would be swarming, and he'd be killing those. That's exactly what would be happening.
FanTaSy has to okay, so now FanTaSy's attack is happening, and I think Stats suddenly realizes, wait a minute. And now I think Stats realizes, oh, I should have actually run up there and I could have done more damage.
He still can. He has enough.
Yeah. And now the second Liberator is going to come up. Is this one going to go over just, here we go.
Oh, my God.
He sets this up over here.
The amount of damage.
Stats is basically going to take shots that he can't, inside of his base, he can't really stop. He's got an army that's sort of marooned on the edge of FanTaSy's base now. It's not doing any damage. He hasn't sent it back home yet.
Man, the possibilities of doing damage with these Blink Stalkers are quickly going away as well. He's denying so much mining right now.
This is, what do you do? What do you do as Protoss here?
Well,
I mean,
he made a Stargate, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to get like a Phoenix probably to chase him out, which, by the way, the Phoenix actually takes a while to kill a Liberator. So that's very annoying. You can just sit him there and continue to deny mining time. Other than that, he's getting good upgrades, right? That's good. That's a plus. But his economy, his actual income, is not better than FanTaSy's.
And you know, the money invested in FanTaSy strategy has already paid for itself. It's slowed down a lot.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, and it forced this weird tech out that... the thing is, when he gets his Phoenix, he's going to hold this up, but there's no utility with this after that. I mean, it's so he had to make a Stargate, make a Phoenix, just so he can go back to mining like he would be normally.
He gets 4 more kills. The Phoenix starts attacking me, unsieges, moves forward, resieges, 4 more kills before he dies. And more lost mining time. Look at this. FanTaSy, non-stop with the Liberator harassment. And now it looks like Stats probably wants to try to kill him.
Okay, so Stats is going to come in now.
Gosh.
Now, even if FanTaSy strategy worked, the question is, though, does he have enough back at home?
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Oh, my God. A mine blew up the Warp Prism. And I think, actually, he's going to go for it anyways, but I don't think this is a fight that he can actually win. There's too much over here.
Imagine if his depots had been up there. The depots were down and still he couldn't do it. My gosh. These Liberators, they just don't stop.
Well, now I think actually Stats screwed up that attack so badly, I think FanTaSy could just go in here and win the game. Stim is done. He's got a very healthy army coming out across the map. A scan here confirms what I think FanTaSy was already pretty confident about. He's going to destroy these rocks over here and probably just go into the third base, kill the second base, go to the main. Very straightforward attack route. Looks like Stats is going to try to set up a little counterattack and see if he can draw the army away. I don't think FanTaSy is going to flinch at all.
Look at how big this army is right now. It's getting serious. Oh my God, that couldn't have been better.
Okay, and look at this. He's actually diving on top of this.
Oh, it's just going to get eaten alive. FanTaSy smashing.
What is going on today? I actually thought FanTaSy was going to be the guy that was going to be eliminated first. And now he's 1-0 against Stats in the winner's match. Jeez.
Yeah. That was perfect.
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because this is one of the best StarCraft 1 players ever. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you could do that in StarCraft 2 then for sure, right? But, damn. He hasn't lost a game yet, Artosis.
No, he has not. And against two of the very strongest players. Oh, what a cool build, too. Just 2 base, range liberator, sits in his base, waits. He hit at a gigantic supply differential. Thing is, Stats missed moments. I swear, that first Stalker blink-in could have killed the Siege Tank and the Marines. Pretty darn sure about that, right? You don't have that much as Terran in these situations, so maybe some missed aggression. It's getting more and more interesting watching every player and their styles continue to evolve because we have such a steady group of players. Because I'm looking at this, I'm like, Stats is a lot better than Patience, but Patience would have won that game.
Yeah, it's funny because Stats was so careful that it's like, no, man, he doesn't have anything over there. You have more Stalkers than he has Marines right now, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, guys, game 2 is ready. FanTaSy versus Stats.
Player 1, FanTaSy.
Oh, geez, guys. Audience making a lot of sounds here.
FanTaSy has a lot of fans. The studio is quite packed tonight.
Splice, Stats.
We get some cheers for Stats here as well. I was worried people would just boo him, start throwing tomatoes up there, but I guess boo. Let FanTaSy advance.
Your race's win rate against my race is slightly up right now.
I've been
saying it for years that it's imbalanced, and right now it's slightly up.
It feels good to be right, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's time for you all to see how smart I always was. Huh. Well, that's weird. I guess if you say anything long enough, it'll come true.
Not me. It's the game's problem, not me. So, yeah, what is FanTaSy going to do? Again, that strategy, you probably can't do that 2 times in a row.
Yeah, no, you're completely right.
Every game I'm going to make Liberators, and he's not going to be ready for it.
Here's an idea, okay? Actually, No Regret and I just got done an episode of In Depth, right, where we were going over the mech games that we saw in Super Tournament. And it seems like against passive play that can be strong. Like, for instance, if you open like Phoenixes or something, okay? So if you kill him game 1 with a Liberator range rush, I think you're maybe slightly more likely to open up with a Stargate opener. And if he does that, maybe that's when we see FanTaSy bust out something like a mech build. Right? Yeah. Like that could be. I don't know what FanTaSy's TVPs are going to look like today. I definitely catch games of him from time to time in a Lima League and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that that's how, we're going to see him end up bringing his games here to GSL, where, this is the tournament if you're a Korean player.
Next is almost finished. Gosh, if FanTaSy could just pull this off 2-0. Imagine FanTaSy just like gets super deep in this GSL. That'd be so cool.
If FanTaSy makes it to the finals, that's a pretty cool
there
moment.
Are players I'm so used to casting out here. Stats being one of them. And I love casting this because Maru, we've been following Maru around the world casting his games before. But, FanTaSy, we don't get to see it as much of them or nearly as much of them. And so it'd be kind of exciting to see him come out here and dominate. Oh, wow.
Armory?
Okay, yeah. Just keep it weird. Armory hidden in the bottom right.
Okay, so is this for Drilling Claws? Like, I can't imagine you need a Thor.
Well, let's just wait. I don't think a Thor makes any sense, but I'm trying to figure out.
Quick armor?
I don't know. Blink Up, by the way, coming here for Stats.
Like a Hellbat?
A bunch of Hellbat rushes coming in.
Yeah,
Robo coming down as well. So it's going to be Stalker, Robo with Blink. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the only thing that actually kind of made sense to me. A lot of players just don't get observers versus Widowmine drops anymore because, well, you just see them after they kill one probe and then you kill them. I guess with Drilling Claws, not only is the detection gone and you must get an observer, but specifically they burrow so quickly that if you are not Mr. Speed Racer himself, they're going to get your probes.
Now,
so this is 4 completely different plays from FanTaSy.
Let's also point out that Stats is not going to see the armory.
Yeah, that
so he has no idea that hidden building's there. So he's not. I am like 100% certain that he's not factoring this as a possible attack.
Yes.
Because this is already weird, and you don't see people do this in their main, like normally, like make an armory there. So the fact that it's even more hidden, I mean, Stats is going to be blindsided for sure. The question is how effective is the attack itself going to be?
This is very exciting. Okay, he's going to have, I believe, 3 Widow Mines maybe in his medevac? Okay, 2, never mind. But 2 is enough. You can really get something done with that. Observer going across the map. It looks like Stats wants to put pressure on with these Blink Stalkers. And I don't think he has another Observer on the way, so he may have to use a recall. Oh, no, there is a second Observer, actually, down at the bottom. And the medevac looks primed to fly right over it as well. More barracks coming up, so this is not a mech play. But look at this. Ooh.
Okay, now that's a lot of Stalkers. Widowmine immediately burrows. But this is going to start doing damage before FanTaSy is able to activate himself on the map here.
How do you even stop this? These Marines are not that good against that.
How do you kill what cannot die? Oh, here we go!
No, I mean, he's kind of annoying, but this is not working out for FanTaSy like he was hoping. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Damn, gets the Observer there.
Yeah, that's an important moment.
This is pretty brutal here. He is going to take out these Widow Mines, but FanTaSy suffered a lot of damage before his strategy could start. So I'd say Stats is in good shape this time around.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely like his position far more. Yeah, he lost some Stalkers. Who cares? He killed a bunch of SCVs. It is a 3 command center build, so those SCV kills won't be quite as bad as they could have been. Have Widow Mines being produced 2 at a time. That'll definitely help against this tech that we're seeing from Stats.
Terran's going to be floating to third base over here pretty quickly. Here comes some great Widow Mine bros. These come down so fast. The medevac does get away.
I like that he tries to run him somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't have an Observer over here just yet.
I'm sure there must be one on the way.
All right, there it is. Going to try to get up to this one as quickly as he can. It looks like he should be able to kill these right before they're going to have another mine ready. Missile ready, excuse me.
Looks like another drop going to be coming out rather quickly here as well. FanTaSy just kind of powering up at the moment. It definitely does feel like a good situation for Stats right now. Can't really see too much that FanTaSy can get done anytime soon. He just has to make a bunch of units, maybe continue this harassment.
I also feel as though there's not a whole lot that you can do against Stats as he gets into this kind of a game, right? I mean, this is really his bread and butter.
Yeah.
His very orthodox
very good at this
play. He wants to get a very strong army. He likes to control the map. Or, you know, FanTaSy was really trying to surprise his opponent and throw him off, and then, you know, this specific strategy begins to work and the damage begins to mount.
Well, with the Prism coming over with those 1-1 charge lots, as well as this frontal army that's looking mildly scary, some potential here for Stats to get good damage done. FanTaSy's actually out on the map with a group of units, has nothing in his main. Uh-oh. Stats being rabid right now, just pushing immediately. Oh, this is bad for FanTaSy.
Okay, Stats hitting in multiple different angles here. These Widow Mines going to burrow up. I don't think there's enough to defend here. I mean, mines alone are not going to cut it. When there's more Stalkers than all of your infantry, you know that's a bad sign here.
This in the main base, too, the fact that there's so much damage being dealt there as well. Looks like he will clean up these Zealots, but more coming in. Meanwhile, his third base still under attack. So many SCVs falling. I think that's just about it.
Yeah, I think Stats is going to smash him, yeah.
FanTaSy might not leave because he's who he is.
Yeah,
but
the one thing about FanTaSy, as exciting as his strategies are, he's bad for TV because he doesn't leave the game in time.
yeah, he does not
like,
like
all
to
right,
give up.
you don't have to let all your buildings burn down, buddy.
It's says it's part of his strategy, actually. But
okay, he taps out. GG, we're tied up 1-1.
Yeah. So, still, 4 completely different strategies in 4 completely different games from FanTaSy. Drops that map to stats. Can he bring us something new in Game 3 once again?
Let's find out.
Something that no one does, because a 2-base Liberator Rush, and then Hidden Armory Drilling Claws Rush. I don't even remember the last time I saw that. I remember when, you know, Liberator Range Rushes were still around, but Drilling Claws Rush? It's been a really long time.
Okay. We're going to go to Kairos Junction for map number 3. Let's see what FanTaSy's going to do. Stats, you know, he finally got to execute the style of play that's proven why he is oftentimes regarded as the best, solid, consistent defensive Protoss player that there is. FanTaSy, the StarCraft 1 legend who changed so much about how we understand Terran, is attempting to do it once more here, this time in StarCraft 2. And let's see who moves on. Game 3 has loaded up. Let's go.
게임이 시작됩니다.
Player 1, FanTaSy. Splice, stats.
Seems like both games so far, he took a lot of liberties with his tech early on, made him a little bit weak against any sort of attack that could come in. The first game stats missed a window that I think was there. Second game he absolutely did not. It seems like he adjusted in that way purposefully, where he's like, okay, we're going to go Blink and Observer, just going to go right in, attack, see how it goes. You never lose that many Stalkers for that very first one if you go Blink first into Observer to get the 3-gate Stalker up. Like, even if it goes wrong, you lose, like, shields, you take some damage, maybe you lose 1 Stalker, 2 Stalkers max, get out of there. Which, obviously, that would be bad, but, like, the way FanTaSy's playing, I think builds like that are pretty strong. And now he goes, Cybernetics Core, B4 Nexus. So we're going to definitely be putting some pressure on.
I also want to point out that FanTaSy, as cool as these strategies are that he's doing, if you look closely, there's actually, he's very vulnerable as he's doing them. Like in the first game, stats I think could have actually gone in there and done a lot more damage. Like you were saying, Artosis, if he played more like Patience and just like, just went and tried to kill the tank. And so it's not like these strategies are not without their own flaws, but you know, when you see somebody conservative like Stats will pretty much only take a fight if he's 100% sure he'll win. But this time around, Stats has adjusted slightly. Like you were saying, next a little bit later here.
Well, normally this means that you are going to shade across the map immediately, delay the command center from building, and oftentimes send over some Stalkers as well. Now, this Reaper being over here can throw a little bit of Monkey Wrench in, right? I think you're going to want to go around. So if he finishes his shade. Yeah, he does. 2 Marines before the reactor.
Yep.
Those, along with the Reaper, should be able to push this back, but it looks like he withdraws them for now, knows that the Stalker that's on the way is a little bit frustrating. And
okay, actually does not deny the CC though.
yeah, well, that's what can happen if you spend time messing around with the Reaper. You got to send it immediately to try to stop that from finishing. So, I mean, as far as, it's not a big deal for this not to have worked out perfectly for Stats, right? It's okay.
It's fine.
I'm not going to be like, he's dead. Because he's
not. Again, we've got Blink coming here. Blink is now very trendy, PvT.
Yeah.
We did see some interesting moments where people were rushing in, as maybe Terran players in general have begun to cut too many corners You know, that's when you see the other opposing race, in this case Protoss, kind of realize that there's some exploits in this kind of play style. There's always this kind of loop that you see in a lot of RTS meta where it's like, okay, so people are getting too greedy, suddenly everybody starts rushing. Everybody starts rushing a lot, people start playing really defensive. Everybody starts playing really defensive, then people start being really greedy, right? And so you'll see this kind of cycle repeat itself over and over.
Yeah, it's very true. And it's interesting to see who's on the front of that metagame quite often.
Right, yeah.
Because they'll get like a lot of success suddenly. Like, hey, look at patience, man. It's got to be part of it, right? Okay, sees that where that mine is. Sees a cyclone up there, not much else. Blink almost done. Observer is on the way. Cloak as well as the Raven coming up.
Nicely done. Going to get in here and kill that mine. Blink about 10 seconds out. I'm sorry, where's he?
Observer?
Yeah,
it's coming right now.
Okay, I don't see it on the mini-map. Is it still almost basically back at the Protoss' home?
I mean, it definitely finished. I think it's in the center of the map.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was going to be closer there, but so he's going to come forward.
Okay, so
by the way, FanTaSy's cloak is almost done. He has his tanks. His tank over here is actually in a really good spot.
And he actually hasn't shown exactly what he wants to go for.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, wow, yeah, God. He's just going for it, man. Look at that.
Auto turrets are going to be cast down here as well. Now, can he blink back out? Yes, he can, and this has been so well executed here.
Yeah, that's too bad for FanTaSy. If he was like one matrix to the left, he's in good shape. You know, the tank would have done a lot more damage. The Marines would have done a lot more damage. Oh my God, he's going to stop Banshee speed. That is a heartbreaker.
Oh my God.
Because now if you want that, you have to cancel the Banshee you're making as well. So it is, in fact, going to be mech. It looks like it's Gumiho mech, but now that his Banshee speed has been canceled, it's hard to say if it's going to be or not.
And the problem is when you lose Banshee speed like that, normally you can't do any kind of attacking besides flying your Banshees around and trying to shoot stuff down. So denying that means that Stats is going to be, for the most part, almost untouchable when it comes to harass. Now, I want to point out, too, we now finally have FanTaSy. His strategy has been denied, so he's kind of in free fall. What is he going to try to do now? How can he actually play this against, I think, one of the best, most solid players there is?
Okay, so this style of mech specifically, Gumiho did beat Stats with. Obviously, it's Gumiho's build and his strategy, so he's going to know it very, very well. That's not to say that FanTaSy won it. This build looks a lot like things that FanTaSy used to do in StarCraft 1. So it's the type of ideas that are involved with it, which are quite complex, he should have a good grasp on, I would say. I don't want to overreach in that way, but I think that's pretty fair. I'm not sure what we're going to see here because, you know, when Stats lost a bunch of games against Mech in Super Tournament, it was brand new. He was like literally the first guy that had to play against this stuff, right?
Right.
So it was sad in a lot of ways. It's like, oh, you're kind of unlucky here. Like if you saw someone else play against this, maybe you could think about it and figure out a way to beat it instead of having to see it in the game and be like, I think I do this.
Never seen this before.
Yeah.
That is, well, everybody who's played StarCraft has experienced that. Where you're like, what is he doing? What's happening? Okay, hold on. We got Stats attacking in now. He takes out that tank, blinks it.
Oh my God.
The Warp Prism has been disabled. It's now Stats fighting downhill. I think he actually might have just cut FanTaSy in half here. Wait a minute.
Oh, the warping on high ground.
Oh my God.
Might be enough. Yeah,
he's going to get the tank, and then he's going to be right. Oh my God, is he going to deny the...
There's no observer here, so...
Oh, you're right, there is no observer. Like, I was wondering why that wasn't getting attacked. How funny.
The thing is, he took way too much damage. I think FanTaSy should still be dead.
Here's the thing is, the Warp Prism's still here. He can still warp stuff in. You can kind of ignore the Banshee like it's a...
Yeah.
It's like a fly or something. You can kind of swat it away.
But now it's got Banshee
I think
speed.
that Stats just killed him. He just got in there. He took out the right number of units. He got to on top of the factories. Anything that was going to pop out was killed. And that means Stats is our first survivor here. He will move on to the round of 16. FanTaSy is not eliminated. We will get to see him have one more shot to redeem himself against either Leenock or Rogue.
That was pretty unforgiving when FanTaSy ended up taking so much damage on the very first blink-in. I really feel like a lot of that has to do with the siege tank being sieged a little bit too far to the right. It was aligned with the buildings as opposed to being a little bit more to the left, so the stalker volleys couldn't all hit it. Little things like that make a gigantic difference. That's one of the differences Maru has that a lot of these guys don't, is that early tank placement.
We are going to go to an interview now with Stats to see how he's feeling. This will be translated by the one and only G-Clef. G-Clef, take it away.
The group of death, and we have Stats making out of it. Congratulations. Thank you. And last we had round of 16 without you last season. How does it feel to come back? First of all, last season I dropped out from round of 32. And I was thinking that what if I drop once again? And I had a lot of worries like that. And because of that, I practiced a lot harder. And my fingers actually hurt because I practiced so much. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm able to make it out of the groups now. And I know you're full of schedules and practices. And was that actually fitting to you, the schedule? Well, dropping out of GSL, I actually used to analyze and watch all the matches. But dropping out of round of 32, then I actually did not tune into GSL after that moment for a while. And the GSL without me, it didn't feel the same. So it was kind of awkward. Yeah, but your matches today was really good. And FanTaSy, it seemed like he had something prepared specifically against you. And losing the first set, but had taken the set 2 and 3. What did you have in plan in the winners match? So I didn't actually prepare too much about PBT, a lot more for PBZ. And then the games actually went nicely for me, and then I was just trying to adapt to the opponent, whatever he did. And towards FanTaSy, in terms of strategy, I think he actually got me, especially the first one. But I got a lot of his units like Mutus, and I think I was able to win against with the adaptations. You had the timing rush with the 3 immortals. And there were some link drops at the timings. And what if you were able to focus without the link drops, without the harassments from the other side? Do you think it was also possible? Well, Leenock has a lot of Zergling focused troops. And there's some combinations with roaches oftentimes, but it was actually focused on links too much. So I think that was the reason why I was able to break through with the immortals. Leenock was also talking about that he had some late gas. And these timing rush with the immortals are really strong right now. And there are a lot of Zergs that are not being able to defend against it. Do you think there's a really good player that can actually go against this strategy? I had a lot of mind games, but I was able to break through oftentimes, so I can't really pick one. I think Zergs are trying to get used to this timing against Immortal Rush. Showing a lot of robotic. And I think when Zergs are used to that kind of play, as long as you know how to adapt and defend against what's coming, it gets a lot better. But right now, the reason why it's strong, I think, it's because Zerg players do not know exactly how to defend against it. But when they do, I think they will be strong again.
이렇게 오랜만에 올라가게 됐습니다. 김도우 선수가 이제 탑시드로 참여하는 조지명식.
And it's been a while, and you are going to be in it with Classic, of course. He's in waiting. How do you think the group nomination is going to go? Yeah, whenever I went up, I was one of the seed, but I am not in that place anymore, so it's kind of weird. It's a weird feeling right now. But whatever happens in the group nominations, I do want to go into a group with lots of Terrans, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
김대엽 선수 다시 높게 올라갈 이제 차례인데요. 마지막으로 팬분들에게 한마디 들어볼게요.
Of course, your final words to the fans.
오늘도 정말 많은 분들이 와주셔서
A lot of
응원해 주셔서
fans
감사하고요.
at the venue waiting, cheering for me.
도와준 친구들이 좀
And there are lots of
많이
friends
있어요.
who helped me practice all the way.
민수도 그렇고 희범이도
Solar.
그렇고 준혁이도 그렇고
Ragnarok
신영이 태양이
and TY.
또 더 도와준 것 같은데 생각은 잘 안
And there are a lot
나는데
of players who helped me out.
고맙다고 전하고
And I do want to say thanks to all of them.
도움을 주는 분들이 많으시고 확실히 선수들 중에 인싸 중에 인싸이신 것 같아요.
Seems like you have a lot of friends.
평소에 잘 안 나가고 집에만
I don't really go out of my
있고
house, and
그냥
I just stay at my
이렇게
house,
경기장 와서
play
만날
games.
때 다 친근하게 이렇게
feel your
대하다 보니까
네.
But when I come to the venue and meet all the players,
동준이가 이번에
they're the best friends that I have.
네, 좀 많이 이렇게
It's getting very
리플레이
sentimental here. Wow.
동준이한테도 고맙다는 말
and Deer actually helped me out a lot during the practice. And so I want to say special thanks to Deer.
성욱이도 같이 이렇게 작년처럼
And Zest also helped him out a lot, and we had a lot of fun during BlizzCon last year.
시즌 3 때 같이 잘해서
And
같이 또 갔으면
Maybe if he does better in season 3, maybe we can go all together
다시
in
한번
season 3.
진출 축하드리겠습니다.
Congrats again, Stats, and
네,
back
이렇게
to
1위
the
진출자
nerds.
김대엽 선수 만나봤고요.
How dare you.
그래서 GSL 이벤트
You think we're nerds,
안내해드리겠습니다.
huh? Just because we cast computer game
먼저
tournaments?
오프라인 이벤트.
So we got one survivor. FanTaSy, of course, is not eliminated. He's going to go to the losers match, or I'm sorry, the last match. But now we got to get rid of one of our Zerg players, Artosis.
Yeah, nice little ZVZ coming up. The aggressive player Leenock against the guy who wants to play like a European in Rogue. He wants that late game, man. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know how this will go, but it should be a fun ZVZ.
We're going to go to a short break. We come back, the losers match, our fourth best of 3, and tonight's GSL Code S.